A major WWE star is returning soon, plus the main event of WrestlePalooza has been revealed, whilst a WrestlePalooza title match has been pulled. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Wrestling fans eagerly awaiting the return of a European sensation, and he's back from LA. Fraser Porter.
I am back from my holiday. I've got a slight bit of tan.
I can
just about see it.
There.
Just about. These Scottish jeans don't tan very, very well. But of course, the European sensation that you're talking about isn't me. I've not. Although I have made my return, it does look like Gunther is going to be coming back to our screens at some point very soon. That's according to Fightful Select and the Wrestling Observer, saying both of them are saying that he is expected to return soon.
Yeah, Fightful specifically saying a full return has always been expected for the Ring General. Where does he slot in, Fraser?
It's a very tough one to call because he should be in that main event scene. Always should be in that main event scene. He's that good. Personally, I think you maybe move him over to SmackDown because that Raw title scene at the moment is kind of dominated by your Seth Rollins, your CM Punks. And I think if you move him to SmackDown, you can mix up Cody's main event challenger scene at the moment. You've kind of only got Drew on the heel side over there. So perhaps you move him over there. However, he does have a reason to stay on Raw and go for Seth or Punk because, I mean, he lost that world title at SummerSlam.
He did indeed, and there's that legitimate beef that he can have going into a title match in that had his nose not been broken in the conclusion of that match, storyline to give a reason to go away and get his nose fixed in real life, then he wouldn't have lost the world title, so therefore there is legit beef to be thrown back into the mix there. But I do like your suggestion of putting him on SmackDown where that main event scene is a little bit thinner and a little bit more open than on Raw, and I think a Cody Gunter match is a nice way to lead us into the end of the year.
The thing is, if Drew does win the title from Cody, I do still feel like Gunter can be played as a face against Drew. Gunter is very fluid, it seems, in terms of how he's portrayed. People like him. He's just a bit of a prick sometimes, but he's very respectful. The ring is sacred, you know. So like, I feel like you could have him have a slight face turn, or at least be cheered when you go up to that against that dastardly Drew McIntyre.
Very possibly. Drew McIntyre set to face Cody Rhodes for the title tonight, but opening WrestlePalooza this evening will be Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, as we talked about the other day. And Brock had quite an eventful night, as did WWE commentator Corey Graves.
Yeah, he wasn't just sat behind a desk last night. No. He got involved. He got into the ring and squared up with Brock Lesnar. He squared up with Brock Lesnar. That is something you just don't do.
I mean, you said it. I think Corey might tell a slightly different story. Okay. So it looked as if Michael Cole was removing himself from an interview situation with Brock Lesnar, only for Brock to throw him over his shoulder and bring him back like they were going to have snoo. And it led with Michael Cole getting chucked back into the ring at the hands of Brock, and it was Corey Graves that got in to appeal for calm, to try and de-escalate.
Yes.
Instead, Corey Graves takes not one, but two F5s from Brock Lesnar. This is the first bit of physicality that Corey Graves has had since he sort of retired from in-ring action.
Yeah, it's been a very, very long time since we've seen anything physical from Corey Graves. He was cleared to compete a couple years ago. Obviously, he'd suffered concussions that caused his early retirement. But this is the first time we've seen him do anything physical. Is this a taste of what is to come? Perhaps. I wouldn't be surprised if this was testing the waters of like, okay, we'll see how you do after some bumping. Having said that, though, he has been quite open to the fact that he has just kept up his training. Like, he's trained with Carmella in ring, so like, he isn't unfamiliar to bumping and taking moves at this point in time. Maybe we'll see him in the Rumble. I feel like this could test the waters of like, oh, let's maybe bring him back for a Rumble spot.
Yeah, I think there was some hopes that we'd see him in the Rumble this past year, and that didn't happen. Maybe this is the time you do it. Maybe this is the time
we've seen so many people come back from retirements, early retirements. You've got your Danielsons, your Edges, your /Copes, your Pages. Lots of people coming back from like career-ending injuries, and Corey Graves is seemingly just held off and off and off and off and off. And even Nigel McGuinness has come back and come out of retirement. So, like, surely at some point we're going to see him get physical.
We also saw a brief backstage meeting with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, suggesting there's something that's brewing once again between those two. Brock Lesnar telling Paul Heyman, we should talk.
I wonder if he's going to get involved and do something like tonight at WrestlePalooza. Perhaps this is to set up Braun Breaker versus Brock Lesnar, and that could be a match that they want to go and really establish Braun. People, we've heard reports for such a long time that Braun is the future. Maybe you have him beat Brock Lesnar.
Oh, do not threaten me with a good time. Do not threaten me with a good time. It was confirmed just yesterday that Brock Lesnar and John Cena will open WrestlePalooza tonight. The main event of tonight's WrestlePalooza will be the WWE Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. That was confirmed on SmackDown last night. Drew leaving SmackDown with the advantage, beating up Cody on the go-home show, leaving him down and out on the outside of the ring. And you've sort of suggested it there. It's an if Drew wins the title. Is it? Do you put the belt on Drew?
I think you maybe do at this point, just to mix things up and keep things fresh, because Cody's main event scene is just him and then other faces. Drew's really the only established heel on SmackDown right now, and I think you kind of need to give him something just to put Cody on the chase and just to subvert expectations a little bit, so that it's not always just like, right, well, it's not SummerSlam and it's not WrestleMania, we're not having a title loss. They do want to establish WrestlePalooza as a big event, and what better way to do it than having, well, Drew win the title or Cody lose the title in the main event. Otherwise, why put it in the main event spot? I know why, because like something's happening prior to WrestlePalooza and they kind of want to capture an audience at the start. But if you've got it as main event, you may as well mix things up and try it out.
Is there something happening before WrestlePalooza?
I think it's a big weekend of wrestling. We've got all out.
Hadn't even mentioned that at all, had they? When it comes to WrestlePalooza, there was one title match that this week looked like it was going to be announced. There's some question marks over it. Tiffany Stratton hitting that moonsault outside the ring against Jade Cargill last week potentially put her in an injury situation. It led to him missing out on the tag match at NXT Homecoming, and some question marks over this match that would possibly be taking place at WrestlePalooza, a triple threat between herself, Jade Cargill, and Nia Jax. Posters locally had the match included.
Yeah. T-shirts. People have bought T-shirts with that match on it, and it's weird that it's like, oh, that's a match. That's on the show.
This all led to a moment on SmackDown where Nia Jax was in the ring, Tiffany Stratton, they have a bit of a back and forth. Jade Cargill starts to march towards Nia Jax, doesn't lay a hand on Tiffany Stratton.
Yep.
That's worth pointing out. Fights through some security to get close to Nia Jax, and then Nick Aldis announces that there will be a triple threat for the women's title, Tiffany Stratton defending against Jade Cargill and Nia Jax next week on SmackDown.
Yep, you've got a week to wait. Just a week to wait. It's not going to be on the show tonight. Now, it was reported, obviously, PW Insider reporting that the word backstage is that Tiffany Stratton is actually not injured and plans to move the women's championship match are purely for logistical reasons. They currently have the maximum amount of matches you can ever have on a wrestling card with 5. They've gone, oh my God, what do we do when we've got more than that on the card? But they've moved that off there so that WrestlePalooza isn't, and I quote, overstacked. The belief is Stratton versus Cargill versus Jax will take place next week, is what PW Insider said, and of course that was confirmed on SmackDown. I feel like you could probably have it on the pay-per-view unless Stratton is actually injured and just needs a little bit more time to recover, because like you could have 6 matches. We've seen pay-per-view cards with 6 matches. Hell, there's one on just before this pay-per-view with 13 matches. You can squeeze one more on.
It was the lack of physical activity from Tiffany Stratton when Jade Cargill came out like very, very angry and was beating up security personnel, but not Tiffany Stratton, where I went, interesting that they're not laying a hand on Tiffany here.
Yeah, a little bit. She needs a little couple extra days of a wee barley break, a wee rest and recuperation.
I think so.
A wee Mars bar to get your energy up after swimming pools.
Lovely. We'll batter it as well in your
honor.
honor. What a day it is for wrestling fans. It is a huge day of wrestling. AEW All Out. I think 13 matches.
13 matches, including the tailgate pre-show, which is, I think, 3 of them on it.
Yeah, And then 5 matches as announced for WrestlePalooza. One show after t'other. Live reactions begin on Twitch with Sam and Andrew for All Out, and then they move over to youtube.com/cultaholic/live for WrestlePalooza. We're going to be working through the night, aren't we?
We are indeed. It's going to be a great day. We all really, I love the events at the moment. They're so big. There's so many great matches on them, and this looks no different this weekend. It's just going to be a long night, and you can join us throughout it all, basically.
And for the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.